Welcome back to Poorly Educated Today in the News, the only podcast where we proudly take complicated geopolitical upheavals, stir them with a red Solo cup, and then throw them at the wall to see which parts stick. It's December 7th, which means America is remembering Pearl Harbor, watching snow pile up like unpaid bills, and observing the federal government reinvent itself faster than my cousin Earl reinvents his alibi at a family cookout. And let me tell y'all, the stories today ain't just spicy. They're habanero hot, dipped in gasoline, and lit by Pete Hegseth standing on a sinking narco boat yelling, "This is fine." Let's dig in before something else catches fire. Segment 1. The Pentagon Panic Parade, Pete's Big Boom Boom Buttons. Folks, today's Pentagon is basically a demolition derby organized by a man who thinks OPSEC is a type of sunscreen. Secretary Pete Hegseth, a man whose motto seems to be, "What if we didn't do the rules part?" has landed square in the middle of a scandal involving signal chats, military bombing plans, and one confused journalist who probably thought he was being added to a group chat about fantasy football. Now, normally, when you leak classified information, the government politely escorts you into a windowless room and sternly asks you if you're an idiot. But Pete just shrugs like a redneck uncle being asked why he built a zip line from the roof to the creek. "I'd do it again," he says. "No regrets." That's not national security. That's the motto on a gas station tattoo sticker. And then there's the double tap boat strikes, which sound like something from a video game but are, in fact, a real-life diplomatic horror show. Imagine survivors clinging to wreckage, only for the U.S. to deliver a second surprise like an Amazon package marked "Some Assembly Required." Allies are mad, Congress is nervous, and somewhere in Colombia, a jaguar metaphor is pacing angrily. Meanwhile, the Pentagon press corps has been replaced by influencers who treat war briefings like YouTube unboxings. Today we're reviewing the new DoD missile strategy. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Segment 2. RFK Jr. rewrites science, vaccines now, BYOB, bring your own beliefs. Now on to health policy, which is now apparently a choose-your-own-adventure book written by RFK Jr. while juggling crystals and kombucha. The Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, newly stacked with folks who treat peer-reviewed research like it's an optional seasoning, voted to end universal newborn hepatitis B vaccinations. This is the first time in American history that a vaccine recommendation came with the vibe of a Facebook comment section. Should newborns be vaccinated? Comment below. Smash that like button if you believe in vibes over viruses. Doctors everywhere are screaming into their stethoscopes, like they just found out the CDC has been replaced by a Reddit thread. My neighbor, who once told me essential oils cured his gout, is now feeling powerful. That's a bad sign. And the experts warn, this is just the appetizer. The administration's ready to align the U.S. with European models, which is bold considering our healthcare system has the structural integrity of a possum-chewed extension cord. But hey, at least parents now get to negotiate vaccines like they're haggling for a lawnmower at a yard sale. 2 shots, final offer, and throw in a dum-dum sucker. Segment 3. Netflix eats the world. Warner Brothers, inside a big red envelope. Now for the economic apocalypse of the day. Netflix has decided it's not enough to recommend shows, clean up your algorithm, and silently judge your taste in trash reality TV. No, now they're buying Warner Brothers Discovery for $83 billion, forming a megacorp so big it can probably apply for statehood. Warner Brothers comes with iconic franchises, DC, Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, and Netflix is stuffing them into one giant streaming buffet. Meanwhile, CNN is getting spun off like a stepchild at Thanksgiving who doesn't fit the family brand. And conservatives already calling Netflix the Obama News Network won't have to worry, because Netflix's entire strategy is absolutely no news whatsoever, which honestly is the most relatable thing they've ever done. Theaters are panicking too, saying this merger might kill cinemas entirely. I can already see the marquee. Now showing, nothing. Please go home. Segment 4. No Santa rally, just the Grinch of tariffs. The stock market is having a spiritual crisis. Usually around this time we get what's called the Santa Claus rally, which is when Wall Street pretends everything is merry and bright even if it isn't. But this year, Santa called in sick. The reindeer are unionizing, and tariffs are crushing the supply chain like a runaway hay baler. De-dollarization's creeping in too. Asian countries switching to the euro because they don't want their bond markets subject to Donald Trump's mood swings. Imagine telling your accountant, "We diversified because the president threatened a trade war on Truth Social." Meanwhile, inflation's still sticking around like that one uncle who won't leave the party even though everyone's already doing dishes. Segment 5. Ukraine deal or shakedown? Kushner and Witkoff's 28-point peace plan. Moving on to diplomacy, or whatever we're calling it these days. The U.S. has proposed a peace plan for Ukraine that can best be described as, what if we stopped the war, but also treated it like a commercial real estate opportunity? Crimea? Gone. Donetsk and Luhansk? Gone. Ukraine's military? Put on airplane mode. And then the U.S. gets 50% of the profits from reconstruction investment returns, which is the world's first ever war-to-venture capital pipeline. Europe is furious. Ukraine is terrified. And the Trump administration is acting like they just made a killer deal on storage units. Segment 6. The 19-nation freeze. The immigration pause. That's actually a freeze ray. Domestically, DHS has frozen immigration from 19 countries after a shooting incident in D.C. Trump described certain nations as garbage and said they stink, which is not typically the phrasing diplomats prefer. This freeze stops everything: green cards, asylum, naturalization, work permits. People who've lived here legally for years are suddenly stuck like they're NPCs whose game just crashed. Imagine being halfway through citizenship and the government says, "New policy, try again later." Even my cousin Earl said, "That seems harsh." And this is a man who once tried to deport a raccoon from his garage. Segment 7. Earthquakes, snowstorms, and infrastructure held together by zip ties. Let's talk disasters, the natural kind, not the political ones. Alaska and Yukon got hit with a 7.0 quake, shaking everything except the U.S. government's ability to ignore long-term infrastructure upgrades. Meanwhile, the Midwest's getting buried under light, fluffy snow, which is weatherman talk for the wind's gonna blow it directly into your car's air intake. Temperatures dropping below zero, too, which is perfect because nothing fixes inflation quite like frostbite. And the East Coast is dealing with rain, snow, slush, and whatever that mysterious brown street juice is. Holiday travel is ruined. UPS drivers are screaming. Amazon vans are sliding sideways into people's lawns like budget NASCAR. Segment 8. Pearl Harbor memories, TikTok detectives, and the White House talent show. It's Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day, and the story of a woman discovering her grandfather was a Nazi spy is proving that even 84 years later, America can still find plot twists. Meanwhile, families on TikTok are solving cold cases because they no longer trust police departments that still use fax machines. The Bish family's out here turning armchair detectives into a volunteer militia of laptop warriors. If you have any information, please comment, stitch, duet, or aggressively vibe at the camera. Lastly, Trump hosted the Kennedy Center honorees in the Oval Office. Nothing says American culture like the president introducing Sylvester Stallone and Kiss while predicting record ratings. This administration treats governance like it's a season finale. In conclusion, today's news paints a picture of an America going through a full system reboot. Except instead of installing upgrades, we're deleting antivirus software, turning off parental controls, and giving the keyboard to a toddler eating glue. The Pentagon's in chaos. Vaccines are optional like extra dipping sauce. Netflix just ate Hollywood. Immigration policies frozen like a deer in headlights. Diplomacy's now Shark Tank. And half the country is buried in snow while the other half tries to solve murders on TikTok. We'll be back tomorrow with more news, fewer answers, and even more redneck wisdom than the human body should legally consume. Stay warm, stay weird, and stay poorly educated.